Now, JoyNews investigations have uncovered how politically connected individuals and a smuggling cartel in the central and Volta regions hoard and resell premixed fuel to fishermen at exorbitant prices. Premixed fuel is supposed to be sold to fishermen a little over 7 cedis, but it is being dished out to them at 20 cedis a litre. 3 years ago, Vice President Dr. Baumadu Baumia promised to digitize the distribution of government-subsidized premix to rid the supply chain of middlemen who mostly hoard the product and sell at exorbitant prices to fishermen. JoyNews investigate how politicization of the newly constituted premix committee is compounding the plight of fisher folks at the country's landing beaches.
But now I am in money.
In 2019, JoyNews investigated the underhand dealings of a cartel hoarding and trading premixed fuel at exorbitant prices. The investigations further revealed how the operations of the cartel also created an artificial shortage of the commodity at the landing beaches along the coast of Ghana. The management of the premix supply and distribution is not only an issue of livelihood, but a political one that caught President Akufo-Addo's attention to make a firm promise of reforms and the introduction of new moves aimed at resolving the problems.
Given the efficient distribution of premixed fuel, we will continue to use the premixed fuel tracking system and audit landing beaches measures which have ensured that since November there's been no report of premixed diversion.
3 years ago, JoyNews investigations revealed that there were many middlemen aggressively buying, hoarding and selling premixed fuel.
Because you won't go far or landing beach no do my one a big cry no electricity meaning big or child or classroom teacher no what now but two premise no do no turn my hand.
No one is checking these cartels. There are more fishermen in need of premixed fuel. That is, the demand at the London beaches far exceeds supply. Secretary of the Premix Committee in Commander, Charles Williamson, agrees.
So whenever a tanker of fuel comes, people are starting struggling. You are struggling to get yours, others are struggling. And you can hear a lot of words about governance and so. I mean, you can hear all these words coming out. Why? Because the fuel is not coming enough for the fisheries. The canoes are more than the fuel that we receive.
Vice President Dr. Baumadu Baumia 3 years ago promised to digitize the distribution of premix. Under this arrangement, no individual could buy premix without showing an ID card identifying him as a fisherman. This has only been piloted in the Greater Accra region. Today, the story is no different. At the Central, Western and Volta regions, unbridled hoarding by the cartel and politicization of the premixed fuel distribution goes on unabated. It's even worse with a nationwide shortage of premixed fuel. But petrol this is not the only burden weighing down the fisher folks. It's the politicization of the premix committee and the hijacking of the premix distribution by persons perceived to be affiliated with the governing party. A former member of the premix committee at the Vojat Landing Beach, Moses Inchuga, confirms this claim.
It happened, I remember. One Mr. Is a government appointee, I can say. Sometimes when a fuel come here, he used to come here to monitor. But before you realize, he placed order that I'm so and so, they will give him 30 yellow containers, sometimes 40. They will not take it away that time. He will keep it with someone in the community. After the one we receive finish, he will start selling his.
The administrator of the National Premix Secretariat, Nana Asare, says laws frown on the politicization of the Premix Committee. He says the Secretariat will probe into the claims.
There are laws governing these landing beaches. You can sell for 2 terms and renewable just 1 term only. These are basic laws that have been passed by Parliament. Nobody has the right to circumvent what is written in white and black.
But contrary to this claim, Kweku Wisdom, a member of the current Premix Committee in Voja, says he was appointed to the committee based on his affiliation with the governing New Patriotic Party. He has been a lotto forecaster for the past 3 decades.
I'm the time I'm holding, I've been fishing with my uncle.
Oh, okay. But now you don't fish?
No, I'm not going because of my health.
Okay.
I have to talk them the way they will manage and they will receiving their premise, because we are the old member for MPP, but how we are not getting anything from them. That's why this MNC put me there.
Okay.
Ghana's fishing industry is on the brink. Depleting fish stock as a result of illegal fishing is killing the sector. This has implications for food security and the livelihoods of thousands of fishermen. The situation with the management of the premix fuel worsens the problem. However, the promises made 3 years ago have not fully materialized. The middlemen have taken over the distribution of premix fuel. Only time will tell whether the digitization of distribution of premix fuel will solve this difficult problem.
Now, catch the full documentary at 8:30 p.m. on the JoyNews channel. Now, the future is gloomy and pathetic. That's how the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, predict their businesses to be like if immediate measures are not taken by government to reverse the rapid rise of the dollar. Now, they say that depreciation of the cedi against major currencies is worrying for their businesses, and that if nothing is done, it poses dire consequences to their business. And they say that their businesses are seriously bleeding to death. GUTA says the depreciation of the cedi against major trading currencies is getting out of hand, and the increase in the monetary policy rate is also leading to high lending rate in the country. Businesses have struggled to deal with the depreciation cost. They've been speaking on this matter, and according to them, if nothing is done, there will be an issue with it. Now, Professor of an economist with the School of Business, Professor John Gatti, has been speaking about how Ghana's economy has been downgraded and how it poses danger to businesses in the country. He's been speaking on the AM show.
Our reserves have actually gone down significantly. And that is one of the reasons why, with all the measures the Bank of Ghana is taking, the cedi is not responding to those measures. So it's like we are having it difficult to bring about a short-term measure to contain the currency. And as a result of that, the demand pressures on the currency from August ending will be uphill, and we don't have supply of the currency to accommodate that demand, especially for Christmas. So these are the realities about the currency. We have actually depleted our reserves significantly, and that we are not able to supply foreign currencies to meet the demand. Outlook is that we may continue to be experiencing depreciation. As to whether it will be erratic, I cannot tell. But we are sure going to continue with the level of depreciation going up, trying to level up with about 10 cedis, because that 9 cedis plus is Bank of Ghana's, I'll call it a benchmark rate.
So that's Professor John Gache, the Dean of School of Business of the University of Cape Coast there. Now, so our analyst, data analyst in the studio, Kofi Eje, has been going through the data and has tried to break it down for all of us to follow. Kofi, thank you for joining us. How can we get this data broken down so that all of us can follow what's happening to our economy and the cedi depreciation as well?
Well, Brace, the problem currently is about exchange rates. So if you look at the three major foreign currencies, which is the pound, the dollar, and then the euro, we'll focus more on the dollar because there's high demand for the dollar. This is a currency that's beginning the year was around 1 cedi is to somewhere around 6 cedis. And now we are buying it and selling at somewhere around 8 cedis. So it simply means that if you were a trader and you import things from, the foreign market, it simply means that if you were importing things around 100,000 Ghana cedis, now you need 164,000 Ghana cedis, an additional cost of 64,000 Ghana cedis. Now, so there's so much depreciation, there's so much pressure on our current reserve, which is currently giving so much pressure to the Ghanaian cedis, and it's affecting, the credit ratings that we see on the screens right now.
Interesting. So run us through the ratings by the various agencies and then what they mean for the economy to the lay person.
All right. So the entire story started this year, January 14th, when Fitch was the first to come in the scene, rating us B- with a negative outlook, followed by S&P. S&P simply did not downgrade us in February. They just came in to affirm, their ratings in February. They also affirmed the B- with a stable outlook. So if you compare in January, S&P's ratings to Fitch ratings was a bit better for the country. Now, the controversial one was Moody's. They first gave us sent us into the more deeper junk zone of a CCC or CAAA1 with a stable outlook. Now, barely 6 months down the line, we see, S&P coming in to paint a different story. But what does this actually mean when we say you are a B+ or a B-? It simply means that your credit ratings is at you are high, you are either in the junk bond, there's high interest on your bonds, and also high rates of default. There's also limited access to the international fund market. So if you look at the Eurobond market, where we go there to borrow, for currencies from the Eurobond market, we get dollars and other currencies from the Eurobond market. And so if you look at something like that, it simply means that we've lost access to the international fund market, and so there's pressure on the current limited foreign currencies that we have in the country. Now, we've been tracking this, looking at all these three agencies. So we started with, Fitch ratings rise from 2003 to 2022. You could see a downward trajectory in terms of the ratings that Fitch has been given to the country. So currently, B- with a negative outlook. There's also Moody's, also a downward trajectory, B- with a stable outlook. Now, the latest to come in the scene is S&P, which is currently downgrading us from the B- with a positive outlook to now a CCC, meaning that we are in a deeper, junk zone. What does this simply mean, in terms of the bread and butter story? So in this instance, there's going to be pressure on our foreign reserves in terms of our reserve as a country. Currently, we are doing somewhere around $7 billion, which could afford us just 3 months of import cover. When this happens, there's going to be pressure on the exchange rate, especially the dollar. It means we would have to pay more cedis for just $1. And when it happens like that, this is what its effect in the market. There's also there's pressure on the foreign currency, just like I said. And what usually it affects is fuel prices. So usually we have fuel prices going up, and Brace, that when fuel price goes up, there's a high probability of transport fares going up. This will affect price of food, goods and services, and also affect, the normal, kinky and then bread that we consume as a country.
Interesting. So the price of the usual bread and kinky will be affected
certainly go up,
as a result of what's happening there. So that's a breakdown of everything that has been happening to the economy in terms of rating agencies. This is what the Guta people have been talking about its impact on their businesses, because now they need more dollars to bring in the product that they used to bring in. President of Guta, Dr. Joseph Obeng, has been explaining how the cedi depreciation, for example, is affecting their businesses. He spoke to me earlier.
Because now the dollar is 9.1, we are yet to do our Christmas sales, and it means that shortly we are going to go for 10 Ghana cedis for $1. It means that one have to go and fund 1 million Ghana cedis to buy only $100,000. The picture is not very good for us. And like you said, we admit the fact that we are also part of it, the excessive importation and that we do. It's true. The demand outstrips that of the supply. Yes, but then there's a solution to this. The imports that we do cumulatively by the indigents is around 15% only. The import that the people in Kumasi, people in Accra, people in Tamale, and all that, the importers that we do volume-wise, we do only 15% of the total volume of imports that we do, and the rest is by the multinationals. And so then government, if it has intention to curtail importation or suppress importation, then government have to use investment laws to make sure that it tightens up the rate, the speed at which we import. And so, yes, if you look at the fact that we have been getting balance of payment surplus for about 3 years, it means that export overshadows that of import for 3 years. But then when it comes to the use of the limited resources that the supply has brought, it means that the demand far outweighs that of the supply that we've gotten. And so we have to look at the areas that is draining the limited resources that we get. And that's what we are saying, that over-dependency, the dominance of the foreigners in our retail sector, and also in the juiciest part of our economies. If you look at the banking, if you look at the extractive industries, if you look at communication, these areas command the bulk of money that come to the nation, and all of this money goes out of the shores of Ghana, where we do not have retention, some retention by way of investment law, making it possible that we have invested in these juiciest areas and retaining even about 40%. If we do not have it, it means that in perpetuity we'll face this problem. Because I believe that government is going to fund some injection into the economy, maybe about $750 million. And I bet to say that about 20 companies or huge companies can consume this amount that is coming. So it means that we have to open our eyes and then find a way to solve this problem. That's why we are lamenting the fact that the investment laws should be structured that companies like the China malls and all that do not bring in any forex, but then they only open their supermarkets and then repatriate all the foreign exchange that we have without bringing the benchmark investment that they will use the same value that would have been deposited at the Bank of Ghana.
Now, JoyNews understands University of Ghana authorities are in a crucial meeting to discuss renewed clashes between rival groups, Commonwealth and Mensa Saba Halls. Several students sustained varying degrees of injuries, with at least one car totally bent by the rampaging student. Calm has since returned to the university community. Now, security analyst Adam Bona says the police station situated at Legon must be retooled to meet the demand of the university community, as it has failed to meet the current demand of the growing university community. He recommends that the university put in place a standby university task force to quell issues of such nature in the future, as well as calling for stiffer punishment for students found to have been involved in the latest clash.
T-shirts. And so when this was reported to the university, I am not sure what action the university took to address and to address this unfortunate incident. And so that actually led to the opposing hall, which actually felt that probably no one is paying attention to them. attacking, literally, and vandalizing property of the other hall. So this is what my sources within the university, tells me, information received from the university, within some members of the university.
These things do happen in almost all our traditional universities where we have these two halls competing for supremacy. Why have we not been able to keep this under control over the years?
Well, we haven't been able to keep this under control maybe over the years because if you ask me, I will tell you that probably the universities have not paid attention to their own internal security arrangements. And so you take, for instance, you remember the Dastardly Act that, happened in KNUST some few years ago where they went on rampage, damaging a lot of properties, broad daylight. You remember one in Cape Coast University. And then University of Ghana, almost all the time, you hear these things happening. I'm sure this year we've seen some isolated incidents this year, but it's been rampant. And if you ask me, I would say it is just lack of punitive measures. Chairing one of the committee that investigated, clashes as a result of SRC elections, it came to light that it looks like punitive, measures aren't there. And so some students go out there literally damaging, university property and they never get punished. And most of this, call them traditional universities, actually have a large segment of their population being non-students. When I say people who have no business staying on campus, they are done with their university programs and they are still domiciled on these campuses. And so these people have become trainers for the trainees. And so you will go to probably Sabah Hall, Kuyafo, you will go to Commonwealth Hall, go to all the halls, and you would have a good number of students who have completed and are still there. They are doing their national service, they are still there. Some of them actually are even done with their national service, and they are still there because they don't have any place to live or for some reasons they are there. And so they actually coach some of these students to undertake some of these dastardly acts we see in the traditional universities, including that of University of Ghana. And so there's something that the university will have to deal with. Students go on rampage, damage things, and nobody gets punished. And Intel, something that some of us have recommended, I have urged the university to do, is to put in place probably a standby task force, security task force, that will continuously engage the universities or the university, if you take that of University of Ghana, engage them, give them periodic security briefing, let them know what is going on,
Dr. Adambona is a security analyst there. Now, one person is battling for his life after a near electrocution as he attempted stealing live electric cable of the Electricity Company of Ghana. The incident, which happened on Monday morning at Denyame near the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council, is one of a series being recorded in the region. A similar attempt on Friday killed an unidentified man at the main installation at Ridge in Shiaso. Those statistics on such incident are not readily available. The company has described it as a rampant occurrence. ACG Communications Officer Samson Boateng reveals though the company has secured all 8 installations, many ignore warning signals and attempt to steal.
It is an existential threat, I would say. It happens quite often and we are not enthused about it at all. Given the loss of life and then the damage caused to our cables, and then the fact that quite possibly communities or customers might have to sleep in darkness, because if you cause damage to the cable, once the cable is damaged, we'll have to mend it. We'll have to get it repaired. So it will call for our cable men to cut where the damage has been done and then join. And that means we'll have to put power off. So there's an inconvenience.
So what's the reason for people tampering with your cables? Have you been able to establish the reason why people go into such installations, despite the warnings?
Thank you. The warnings are conspicuously there. You know, the metal plates that you have displaying danger. And then people still go. So maybe you can also help me. Maybe is it because of insatiable desire for wealth? Because the copper, when they cut it, they sell it. And it gives them money. So that could be the only motivating factor. Yeah.
Now, road safety expert Cecil Gabra is advocating the installation of speed limit in commercial vehicles. He believes this will serve as a measure in curtailing overspeeding by some drivers, usually resulting in accidents on roads. Mr. Gabra, in a JoyNews interview, also expressed worry about the inability of authorities to audit these commercial vehicles before they hit the road. He is therefore calling for a thorough inspection of all commercial vehicles if the National Road Safety Authority wants to meet its target.
You know, every bus must have speed limiters installed in them so that they cannot drive after 80 kilometers per hour. They are supposed to carry logbooks, and then they need tachographs. The drivers must fill them up. And in addition, I'm calling for another enforcement where the National Road Safety Authority will even have jobs for people. I know Mr. Adontin is listening to me, right. And he's the new boss, acting boss. I'm just praying very hard that his position will be confirmed, because I mean, I've been working with him. What I advise is that let's make sure that the law is working, because again, the LI 2180 states categorically that, look, this bus driver or the buses must have all these things. And if they have it, road accidents will be minimized. Their ties, who checks their ties? Remember I mentioned an audit, transport audit, before you be given a certificate to operate. And every month we should have these auditors coming to check on you, because as private as we are, what we think of is money. If the bus is not even good, we'll say, oh, take them for one trip and come, we'll repair it with the money that you raise, which is so wrong. So the value of the human being this time is not respected at this particular point, because you know the vehicle is not so strong, and then you put people in it who could sure more go, as my people will say, and then collect your money. So we need an audit for those transport companies to find out whether their vehicles are roadworthy and so on. Their drivers, are they trained?
You're also watching JoyNews today on the JoyNews channel. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we have latest from the world of business with Beverly Broom. Stay with us.
Hello, good afternoon. It's time to do business with me, Beverly Broom. Remittances and foreign direct investment into the country slowed down at the end of June this year. This compared to what the country recorded during the same period last year. But at a time that the Ghana cedi is recording some sharp depreciation against the dollar, should we be worried about this development? George Yafe has more.
Based on Bank of Ghana's data ending June this year, remittances brought in stood at $1.9 billion. This represents some decline from the $2.2 billion posted in June 2021. On the other hand, capital brought into the country by foreign firms for investment purposes slowed marginally, ending June this year to $805 million. This represents a marginal decline compared to the $954 million that came in during the same period for last year. For some, the development can be described as worrying, especially at a time when strong dollar inflows are needed to shore up the country's international reserves. This because it will help the Bank of Ghana deal with the sudden surge in dollar demand by businesses and also deal with the recent sharp depreciation of the Ghana cedi. Well, for some, it is the hope that these other sources of dollar inflows will pick up in the coming months. Otherwise, we definitely have to rely on the upcoming cocoa loan syndication from next month and the $750 million Afri-Exim loan that should come in by the end of this month to help improve our dollar reserves, as we hope some donor inflows would also come in quickly in the coming weeks.
Now, 5 small and medium-sized enterprises in the Ashanti region have begun a 1-month incubation training at the Recycle App Ghana. The training is to equip participants with relevant business development skills and also provide support and investment exposure to their businesses. The Boosting Green Employment and Enterprise Opportunities in Ghana Green Project is a 4-year project implemented in the Ashanti and Western regions of Ghana. The project is a European Union-funded program that SNV Ghana is implementing with the United Nations Capital Development Fund.
The project seeks to support the development and scale-up of businesses in agriculture, renewable energy, and water and sanitation sectors. Mrs. Rita Krampa, a corporate trainer, observes many young entrepreneurs fail due to limited funding and rigid requirements imposed on them. She believes that startups should be spared of fulfilling some of these requirements. She called on government to support the training hubs to enable them build capacities of young aspiring entrepreneurs.
Recycling business is becoming more and more exciting every day, seeing a lot of young people now becoming concerned with the environment and its sustainability. And the hubs are there to support them with training and every other thing that they need, all the support that they need, even helping them to get funding. And that makes it even more exciting so that people will divert their attention to entrepreneurship in the green business, which at the end of the day is sustaining the whole world. What the state can do or the government can do to help is to help the hubs, support the hubs, to support them, because the government cannot reach out to them directly, but the hubs can. But the hubs need to be funded to be able to take care of them. Look, today, for example, the hub is only able to support only 4 of them, but if they are given the necessary support, they can support about hundreds of people.
The project lead, Mr. Ako Binchwe, encouraged SMEs to engage in environmental friendly activities.
And as Ghana and as the world is transitioning into more climate resilient works or jobs, we see that it is very essential for SMEs to also delve into that aspect, because everyone is going green, you understand, and the earth is just one. If we destroy it now, the future progeny will suffer. So that also helps us to also inculcate some aspects of greenness into our businesses.
A participant, Gladys Chiofuriwa, was grateful to Recycle Up Ghana for the opportunity and encouraged them to reach out to more people.
There are lots of people out there who are doing amazing things, but they have no opportunity or no fund to just do these things. So please, we plead on Recycle Up to just improve on what they do so that they can get more people.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Debra.
And that's how we end business for now, but we have more business coming up on Marketplace at 1 p.m. Up next, the sports.